We certainly need better. There's a bunch of hits, obviously, and we end up with 8 runs on the board, and that's not going to work, and that's not going to be good enough.
Well, you heard it from Craig Counsell. Cubs lose 9-3, and despite the offense looking terrible against Paul Skenes and striking out 15 times, the bigger issue today was Kyle Hendricks just not looking like he is going to ever come back to form. And I've got some opinions, not that they matter, but if you do like them, make sure that you subscribe. If you are not liking them, make sure you comment. And either way, we would love if you just like this video. So, tough one to swallow. 4 or 5 losses now for the Cubs, and they still have yet to lose 3 games in a row, so they will need to be able to win tomorrow with Shota on the mound in order to keep that streak going. I personally didn't like their chances coming into this game, especially with Paul Skenes coming to the mound against Kyle Hendricks, who, if you're just looking at like the polar opposites of the type of pitchers that are out there today, that's them. Kyle Hendricks maybe touching 90 every once in a while, really relying on the changeup and the location, whereas Paul Skenes can throw 103 right down the middle and you won't be able to touch it. And for that reason, Paul Skenes, he had his first start against the Cubs in Pittsburgh last week. A lot of nerves, a lot of things going on. He still looked decent, but I thought that after those nerves come out, now you go onto the road. You don't have to worry as much about all those first game jitters. I expected him to be pretty good, and I especially after losing last night, did not feel good about this game. And he gets his first major league win, which we will talk about a little bit more in a bit. But guys, Kyle Hendricks is just not cutting it. And unfortunately, in my opinion, Kyle Hendricks, it's time to stick a fork in him. And you know what? I'm a big Kyle Hendricks fan. He took us to the World Series. He won us the World Series essentially by starting Game 7. His name is Kyle. My name is Kyle. Funny enough, his nickname is Carl. My nickname with one of my best friends' name is Carl. So it's, I like the guy. I have some personal connection there. But at the end of the day, the league has evolved and Kyle Hendricks has not. He still throws 88 to maybe 89 miles an hour, just like he did back in 2016. But here's the thing. In 2016, the average fastball was not 95 miles per hour. Now today, it feels like it is. If it's not there, it's close to it. And for that reason, 88 to Major League Baseball hitters looks like 80 miles an hour. And so Kyle even said it after the game. I felt like I made 2 bad pitches all day.
To be honest, I thought I made 2 bad pitches, which is crazy to look at that start and say that.
And that shows you today, when a guy is not throwing with velocity, he's going to have to rely on location more than anything. And even if he hits his location, that doesn't mean it's not going to end up with damage. He made 2 bad pitches in the first 4 innings. One got hit for a home run. One went for a double. They were both hard hit balls. And then another one went for 100 miles an hour. And that was a single off the bat of Connor Joe. And this is a guy that in maybe 2016, maybe 2017, when average fastballs were more around 92, 93, 88 didn't feel that much slower. But now it feels a lot slower, and guys are feeding off of this. They're not being tricked. They're not being fooled in any way. And a Pirates team that cannot hit has gone out there and hit against the Cubs 2 days in a row, I guess you'd say. And part of the reason is because Kyle Hendricks has not evolved in the league has. The final line, as you see right there, 4 2/3, 11 hits, 7 earned runs, but 8 runs overall. And really, he's going out in the 5th inning just because Craig Counsell doesn't want to eat up the bullpen. And for that reason, I don't know what you do with this. Craig Counsell said it to begin the show that we need better out of him. But honestly, at this point, is Kyle Hendricks helping or hurting the team more than anything? And I think at the end of the day, he's unfortunately hurting the team more than helping it. And as much as it pains me to say, I think this means that the Cubs need to have an amicable ending to the Kyle Hendricks era. Why? Because last year, you could look at this Kyle Hendricks situation and say, well, we got to throw him out there. But this year, you've got Wisniewski, you've got Ben Brown, you've got Assad, you got Shota Imanaga, you got Steele, you've got plenty of options right there in the starting rotation. By the way, Jordan Wicks is coming back, and you still have an opportunity, if you really get into murky waters, to have Drew Smiley come in and start every once in a while. I don't want to see that as much as you do. But what we also have is Cade Horton one day is going to be up with the club, and whether or not he starts or goes into the bullpen situation is yet to be seen. But there are options in the starting rotation, whereas right now, there are not options in the bullpen, and Kyle Hendricks is not an option for the bullpen. And every time he goes out there, he's stressing the bullpen. Today, 4 1/3 innings from the bullpen. Now, they were great. We'll get to that a little bit more here in a second, too. But every single time he goes out there, you don't expect him to go over 5 innings. And that is too much stress on this bullpen that's already being overtaxed. Let me know what you think in the comments. Are you still really willing to give Kyle Hendricks more time? I get it if you are, but that's where I stand. Now, with Paul Skenes, this guy was so dang good on May 17th. 6 innings, 11 strikeouts, no hits, 1 walk. And this is the guy that went number 1 in the draft last year from LSU. This is the guy that the Pirates needed him to be. This is who he came out, and he looked like Kerry Wood back in 1998 in his 5th start, looking like he was ready to strike out 20. He struck out the first 7 batters. In the first 23 swings, the Cubs took 12 swings that did not make any contact, swing and misses. And he ended up throwing 100 pitches, 22 swing and misses. The stuff is elite. As you can see right here on the chart in front of you, once again, he did throw 100 pitches, and he has a very good variety. Look at it. It's about 75% of the time, it's either the fastball or the splitter. And then about 15% of the time today was the slider. And then you can mix in a curveball and a changeup. And if he can throw it for strikes, which he got swings on those pitches as well, that's when it becomes extremely dangerous. And you just see this spray chart here of pitches and how many outside of the zone that Cubs hitters swung at. That's how good this stuff is, because when you're having to gear up and get ready for 101 to 103 miles an hour, then you're cheating on some of these splitters that are going outside of the zone because you have to start your swing a little bit early. So Paul Skenes, congratulations on his first major league win. Much deserved. No matter what kind of approach the Cubs hitters had today, it probably would not have been enough to get really much of anything against Skenes. Let's play a little bit of one up, one down from this game. One up is the bullpen. They went 4 1/3 innings and gave up just 1 run. And that 1 run was a home run off of Andrew McCutcheon's bat that just barely got into the basket off of Mark Leiter, but it was on his curveball. So I'm not as concerned about that. And the bigger kind of bright spot is Jose Cuas, 1 2/3 innings, 3 strikeouts. And that's a guy that went back down to the minors, has come back up. He's been pretty good since coming up, and you would love to see him really step up, just like he did last year when the Cubs needed a bullpen arm to produce. Now, you can say what you want about Cuas last year. Yeah, he walked the world, and yeah, he was really kind of nerve-wracking to watch, but he still put up great numbers with the Cubs. Another guy that has done a lot of impressing since coming over has been Tyson Miller. So in the last couple of days, you love seeing what the bullpen has been doing. They need to be nails. They need to be able to be coming in and locking down games. And especially if starters are not producing like they've been the last 2 days, the bullpen becomes that much more important. One down is the Cubs offense. Now, let's give them a little bit of a break. As you probably heard on the broadcast, since the Dylan Cease game, which was 9 games ago, the average fastball they've been seeing is 96 miles an hour. Combining all the fastballs, 96 miles an hour. That is some serious heat and a bad stretch and a bad time to go through a bad stretch, given how banged up they are without Nico Horner, without Dansby Swanson, and with Seiya Suzuki just coming back. He's getting more days off. So it's been difficult to see this stretch come at a really bad and inopportune time. But still, you look at the last 9 games. I'm going to rattle this off for you. Going back to the Dylan Cease game, 0 runs, 7 runs, 9 runs, and a loss. That was the first Paul Skenes game. 5 runs, 0 runs, 0 runs, 7 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs. That's 3.8 runs per game. But man, if you take out that 9-run loss, we're talking about close to just 3 runs per game. Shut out 3 of those 9 games and held to 4 runs or less 5 of those 9 games. Batting just .218, it's not going to cut it. And this is a team that you've also seen, because of all the velocity, that the patience at the plate has started to get exposed a little bit as well. Mike Tauchman had 3 strikeouts on Friday. This is the kind of thing that you're starting to see with this offense now. And with Mastroboni and Madrigal having to be in the lineup with Dansby Swanson down, the lack of patience is really starting to hurt this team. And for that reason, it doesn't matter how good your pitching is, no matter how good the bullpen has now been the last 2 games, if the offense doesn't do enough, you're not going to win games. And so I've really been disappointed with the approach. I thought the best approach was in that 9-run game, back against Paul Skenes when they were really working counts, getting guys on. They weren't necessarily getting a lot of guys in against Skenes, but then that approach continued the rest of the game. And really, it's stopped since then. Yeah, they scored 7 runs against the Braves, but, some of that was also just a little bit of luck. And so I'm really wanting to see the approach get back to what it was in the beginning of the season, 5, 6, 7 pitch at bats until you get that mistake. Look at Amaya's at bat from Friday. Foul ball, foul ball, foul ball. Then he gets that meaty pitch and hits it into the left field bleachers. So let's see the Cubs get back to that approach. I think if they can do that, no matter if Dansby Swanson or Nico Horner are in the lineup, you're going to see a much better result. And now they've really put the pressure on themselves because they have to win these last 2 games just to split this 4-game series at home against the lowly Pirates, which is really disappointing to say, given the fact that it was against Paul Skenes and Jared Jones, who are 2 of the elite rookies. You give them a little bit of a break, but at the same time, I would like to see this be at least a split. Shota Imanaga on Saturday against Bailey Falter, and then you've got Jameson Taillon against Mitch Keller. Not going to be an easy matchup there on Sunday. And then the Braves come to town starting on Tuesday. And, of course, the Cubs lost a series against the Braves. If they can just get 1 or 2 wins against the Braves, you feel pretty good, which means that they either have, after splitting that series with the Pirates, either have a barely winning record from this homestand or a barely losing record from the homestand. And at this point, losing the first 2, I'm actually okay with that, given how banged up the team is and how bad the pitching has been so far. Once again, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to our channel. If you did not like it, comment below. Let's have a conversation. And either way, just go ahead and click that like on the video. Setup Nation, Cubs fans, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to go put my arm on ice. We'll see you next time.